everyone, I'm here with the astrology for the month of February. So it's an interesting month. We have a lot of Aquarius energy going on. It is just Aquarius all over the place. We have not had this many planets in the sign of Aquarius since 1962, February of 1962. So this is like a lot of Aquarius energy. Look at if you know your birth chart, look at the Aquarius house in your chart because it will be showing you where all the focus is going, where there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of things happening in that area of your chart. The other part of your chart that's going to be enhanced or going to be seeing a lot of action is the Taurus house of your chart, because we also have Uranus and Mars still in Taurus, and they are going to be squaring, which is a stressful aspect, the planets in Aquarius this month. So there's a conflict between your Aquarius house and your Taurus house this month. So watch those two areas of your chart to see how that plays out for the month. And this is going to be a major theme that's going to be repeating itself throughout the year 2021, but particularly this month, because we do have so many planets in the sign of Aquarius. And then when the moon goes into Aquarius, then it's like even more Aquarius energy. So super Aquarius season, I'm going to call it. So let's get started. Okay, so we start the month with Mercury in retrograde. Mercury went retrograde on Saturday the 30th of January and will be retrograde until February 20th, I think it is. Yes, February 20th. So Mercury retrograde happens 3 times a year, not something to freak out about. Take all the precautions you do with any Mercury retrograde. If you hear something that sounds weird, ask for clarity. Try to be clear yourself when you're communicating. Make sure you're building in extra time if you have to travel anywhere. Because this is in an air sign, and actually all of the Mercury retrogrades this year are going to be in air signs, it's more about miscommunication. I don't see so much as breakdowns, which sometimes happens when it's more of an earth sign. This is more about the miscommunication, misinformation, disinformation, all of that. So take everything you hear and read with a bit of a grain of salt. Ask for clarity when you can. And if somebody kind of like reacts badly to something you say, make sure they've understood what you've said. Like really try to be clear yourself. So let's get started. I'll give you the headlines for the month. If you want more detailed headlines, I do have on my Patreon a weekly astrology video that goes into more detail, but this gives you just like the overall big things that are happening for the month. So at least that kind of helps you to plan your month. So Monday, February 1st, so that's yesterday, I'm going to put this up on Tuesday. I think Venus moved into Aquarius. So we now have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn all in the sign of Aquarius. We also have the asteroid Athena here as well. So that's why so much energy is going to be in that particular house. Now, if you don't know your chart, that's okay. Aquarius tends to rule things like groups, community, humanitarianism, technology. It also rules things like innovations. It's also about the internet because that's a newer innovation in our world now. It's also about rebelliousness and wanting to do things in new ways. Friendships as well are affected in this area. So those are the themes you're going to see going on a lot in the news over the next month and into 2021. And then the Taurus house, where we're seeing some of those squares happen, Taurus rules things like the earth, farming, agriculture, the environment, also food and money as well. So look for those issues coming into conflict. So it's really like the new and the old, also the environment and technology, trying to work out those conflicts between them. So we start with Venus moving into Aquarius. Venus is all about love and romance. And so when Venus moves into Aquarius, we don't want to just be romanced with pretty things. We want conversations that stimulate our mind, that are different, that are unusual. Aesthetics might be a little bit more avant-garde and different. We want something that's like kind of different than what we're used to when Venus is in Aquarius. We have for the first square, we have Venus conjuncting with Saturn, the planet of responsibility and hard work. And Venus is going to be making a square on Saturday, February 6th with Uranus. So there may be some issues between beauty and things that are unusual. This is a time where we may run into unusual people and ideas. We may see some unusual ideas crop up in the news as well on this day. Monday, February 8th, the Sun has a conjunction with Mercury. So that's the halfway point in the retrograde, usually, when the Sun and Mercury meet up during the retrograde period. And that's where usually information comes to light. And usually information that was withheld, like a secret's revealed, something is shown to us. It's really what the theme of the retrograde is about. So watch for that on Monday, February 8th. We have a Mercury makes a square with Mars on Wednesday, February 10th. So watch for arguments that day and misunderstandings, especially on that day. Thursday, February 11th, we have our new moon in Aquarius. So this is where really we have that tons of Aquarius energy going on. We also have Venus meeting up with Jupiter. So the two benefics, the two good luck planets, are meeting up in the sky. This is a great new moon for setting intentions, especially in your Aquarius house. It's like super energy going on in that area. Really take advantage of it on Thursday, February 11th. Saturday, February 13th is when Mercury meets up with Venus. We also have Mars in Taurus making a sextile with Neptune. So we have here, it's interesting energy there because Mars is a planet of like war and conflict and desire. And it is working with Neptune. Neptune often about like, it can be about deception. It can also be about things like music and art. So we can really use that energy on that day, especially with the Mercury and Venus together, to do something really creative, to do something very imaginative. But we also have to watch for deception. We also have to watch for those who might try to trick us, or especially I think in the larger zeitgeist, in the larger culture, we have to really watch for anything weird we hear on that day. Sunday, February 14th, so Valentine's Day, we have Mercury meeting up with Jupiter. So that's a day for some good luck and some good news. Wednesday, February 17th, this is a big one. We have Saturn making a square with Uranus. So Saturn and Uranus both move very slowly. This is the first of three times it's going to make that aspect this year. This is one of the major themes for 2021 is Saturn, which represents the old ways, which represents hard work, which represents restrictions and boundaries. It's in the sign of Aquarius, and I'm really seeing this play out in, there's been a lot of boundaries and restrictions around the internet. There's a lot of talk about rules on social media because that's all Aquarius stuff. And Saturn's about rules. How do we want to work with that? What rules do we want to make? What boundaries do we want to make around technology that benefit everybody? Because Aquarius is all about what's the good for the whole. And that's going to come up against Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus Uranus is about changes. Uranus is about sudden innovations, chaos, disruptions, but also that moment of genius. And it's in Taurus, which is all about the environment and agriculture. So there may be conflicts between sort of this older agrarian type of mindset. I really see this as like an urban-rural conflict, also new and old conflict. So you may see some stuff come up around there politically, but look at where it comes up in your own life. Are there areas where you want to innovate and do things differently, and areas where it's like, no, we need to have rules, we need to have structure, we need to think about what's best for the whole and not for the individual. So watch for that coming up, especially around the 17th. Thursday, February 18th, the sun moves into Pisces, as it usually does at that time of year. So our focus goes away. We start to lose some of that Aquarius energy, goes into the Pisces house in our chart, but we still have a lot of strong Aquarius energy going on. Friday, February 19th, we have Venus squaring Mars. Those are always good days for like romance and stuff. Watch though for conflicts and tension that may appear in your romantic life. Saturday, February 20th is when Mercury goes direct. So that is the end of the Mercury retrograde cycle. And then Wednesday, February 24th, we have Mars trining Pluto. Mars trine Pluto, it could be used for good or bad, just like with anything else. So Mars, planet of war and conflict in Taurus, is making a trine, which is an easy aspect with Pluto in Capricorn. But what we want to watch for is we may see people using older aggressive styles. We may see some conflict coming up there. when Mars and Pluto get together, that sometimes can be a warlike aspect that can sometimes indicate danger. Because it's a trine, I'm not as worried about that. I'm more interested to see how there might be people trying to use different power dynamics to, kind of gain power over others. Use the energy wisely this day. Don't use the power just for yourself and for gain. Use it for something that's good for everybody. For Thursday, February 25th, we have Venus going into the sign of Pisces. So again, we have some of that Aquarius energy moving into the Pisces house. Venus in Pisces, she wants her feelings to be romance. She wants to be wooed with a song and a poem. She definitely wants to be connected with on a spiritual level. We'll see more sort of interest in spirituality and New Age. So we move away from like wanting something unusual and avant-garde into something that's just like more romantic, more spiritual, more poetic. The sun has a sextile with Uranus that day, so that is a good day to do things differently, to do something unusual, to go outside your comfort zone, to try something different that day. And then Saturday, February the 27th, we have a full moon in the sign of Virgo. So full moons are always like opposite of the sun sign. So the sun is in Pisces, the moon will be in Virgo, and they're always asking us to either make a choice or to bring two things together. So the sun in Pisces is asking us to focus on spirituality, focus on poetics, focus on creativity. And then we have the moon saying, well, that's great, but what are the details? How are you going to do that in real life? It's asking you, how are you going to make those big dreams real? And that's what that full moon is about in Virgo. And this one in particular, I don't see a lot of stressful aspects that day. It's just really asking us like, hey, you've got some big dreams and you figured out some things during the Aquarius season, so to speak, at the first 2/3 of February. How are you going to make those big dreams real now? What are you going to do? What are the details of this? So that's what that full moon is asking. So it's going to be an interesting month, I think. I think a lot of the themes for 2021 are really going to become clear into the month of February, especially with all of those planets going into Aquarius for a while there. It's really going to put a lot of focus into that area. We're going to be asked, how are we going to resolve some of the conflicts in our lives? We're going to be asked, how we want to put that energy to work and how we're going to do that in a detailed way. We're going to see, how do we want to mix the old and the new? How do we want to put boundaries around things? What do we think is best for the collective whole? In conjunction with, it's not just about, individuals, but we want to balance those things out. So we're really being asked to weigh these really big issues this month. So we'll probably see a lot of that stuff in the headlines as well in February. But I think that this month is kind of like showing us themes for 2021. March looks a little bit easier. January and February are kind of like two of the more difficult months this year, and then it gets a little bit easier as we go along. So I am hoping for that for sure for everybody. So I hope wherever you are, you're safe, you're happy, and you're well. I do have some free astrology resources. I do this at the beginning of every month to let you know the headlines. I also have a newsletter you can sign up for. It's free on my website. It goes out twice a month on full moons and new moons that lets you know your astrology, like your horoscope for your sign, for your rising sign for that full moon or new moon. So you can sign up for that. I have a blog as well where I post different things, so you can check that out. And then on the paid end, I do have, like I said, on my Patreon, more detailed week by week astrology. And as well, I do astrology readings on Etsy if you want to check that out. So thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions or anything, put in the comments below. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. It means so much to me. Stay wild, and I will see you next time.